Hi everyone, hopefully everyone's doing good today. Today I'm talking about my deep listening interview, which I did with my close friend Cassidy Hancock, who lives in Texas and currently goes to Texas A&M. And I chose to do my interview with Cassidy because I haven't really actually sat down and talked to her in a long time. And even though we Snapchat every day and talk every day just about how our day is going and stuff, I just felt like this interview served as a great purpose for me to, actually sit down and have a genuine conversation with her. So I asked her to do it, and she agreed, and so I gave her a call today, and, I started off by explaining what the interview was about, and, I sent her over the questions so she could review them. And while she was reviewing the questions, I made small talk with her and asked her how her day was going and stuff like that, just to kind of make her feel more comfortable in the setting of the interview and, be more open to sharing when the interview actually started. I would say the most important question I asked throughout the whole interview was, what's one lesson or rule that you wish the world lived by? And she answered this by basically saying, mind your own business. And I thought that was a great lesson for people to have because, it kind of shows sometimes you just need to focus on yourself and not focus on others all the time and just figure out your own stuff first. And I learned a lot about Cassidy and from Cassidy during the interview. I learned about how she lost her dog and her regrets and, her travels throughout her life. And, what I realized from everything in the interview was that, everything that she's been through, such as the traveling and being in a military family and going to a boarding school and having to learn independence without her parents, has kind of shaped her into who she is now. And that was just really interesting for me to hear. The clip I decided to select for my interview, it includes Cassidy talking about the saddest moment in her life. And she's talking about the recent passing of her dog and, how that affected her. And in this segment, I utilized the golden silence. After she finished her thought, I utilized the golden silence to give some space for us both to reflect on what had just been said. Then I utilized the top 5 listening behaviors by listening to what she had said and then thinking about it and, presenting another question to get her to speak further about the matter. And I think that me utilizing these 2 wisdom points helped Cassidy feel like she was being listened to and that it was okay to feel vulnerable when talking about sensitive topics like this one. Okay, and what about the saddest?
It was a very recent thing. I had to say goodbye to one of my dogs, and he was only in my life for 2 years, but it was definitely the hardest thing I had to do.
And I personally know that you were really close with your dog. So how would you say your dog helped you throughout the time that you were with her? And other wisdom points, other than in the clip that I used in the interview, were mindful listening, searing, and the castle metaphor. I seared during the conversation because I used sear to evaluate what she said and then form a fitting response or question for it. I used mindful listening by listening to Cassidy without judgment, which helped her feel more comfortable in the interview. And I utilized the castle metaphor by, how I talked about talking to her for 30 minutes before and sending her the question, which just made her feel more comfortable and willing to share throughout the interview. Lastly, the most important life lessons that I gained and wanted others to gain from the interview were first, to mind your own business and focus on yourself, which would sometimes be better for both parties. And also another thing that I learned from the interview, which was never directly stated, was that, experiences can be experienced better and, more enjoyable when done with others. And I thought that was really impactful. So hopefully you guys too. And thank you for listening.